And I remember certain legal stations at the time paid extra money to the DTI to keep LWR off air. I remember at night, you could go out and stand on and you could hear them spraying Uzi fire, machine gun fire on the rooftops in the ghetto in Jamaica, Queens. Like you're like, this is some different business out here. Beginning of Rampage, we ran it. Our office was in a car, and let's call ourselves Rampage. And the reason why I thought of Rampage was because of, and we've come up with Richard and Michael performing and giving entertainment. Brilliant. We needed a logo. Stephen Lawrence designed our logo. God rest his soul. He used to work at 4-Star General.
What do you mean, Stephen Lawrence?
Yeah, who died. Yeah.
He used to work in 4-Star General.
Yeah. So our logo got designed. Not many people know. We're English. We're UK, and we pull up outside Brixton Fridge in red, white, and blue XR 3 eyes, and people would think.
How was you getting the power? Generators, or did you plug it into the house?
Mate was MC Skibadee. Right. Rest in peace. One of the greatest MCs of all time.
Absolutely.
And when he took to the stage, I could have turned Rampage upside down. Snoop's first ever performance outside of the United States was with me. When you got someone like Richie, Psycho, and you got these people with you in your
it's
collective.
A team, isn't it? It's a team.
Yeah, because we bounce off each other. When Miss Dynamite comes and tears the street to pieces.
Legendary.
Miss D, you are the reason Carnival cost me a lot of money, because she did Boo, and then she flipped it into a drum and bass version halfway through. But she performed it for me the first time I was at Carnival. We heard it, and the crowd surged and the barriers bent.
Wow.
A lot of things that Psycho did that he's just not credited for, that he was a fantastic DJ. Unbelievable. So to lose him, it was tough. Really, really tough. Give the knowledge. I'm not scared of nobody. Exactly. I'm not scared of nobody. I'm not scared. If you're big coming through, you're just gonna make me work harder. Because I remember Stormzy being on Rampage before he became Stormzy. Like, as Stormzy, but not as big as Stormzy is now. I look at that with pride. When Bashi came on our stage and said, I used to be down there as a youth, looking up at this stage, wondering, one day I want to be on that stage. And he's on my stage performing. Look at Bashi. We look at those men not with like envy, with pride. That's us.
On this week's show, I have someone in the cab who lives and breathes music. He's the co-founder of the legendary Rampage SoundSystem and has been rocking the Notting Hill Carnival for well over 30 plus years and has a huge following. The music they play covers all styles from hip-hop, reggae, Afrobeat, grime. You know, you got to go there and witness it because it's absolutely incredible. The vibe is peace, unity and love, and the crowd and the music being played makes the Rampage event spectacular and one that will not be forgotten. Sorry, let me just get my breath back because it's quite a big intro.
I'm wondering who he's talking about.
And we also have my partner in rhyme in the back, who like me is first generation UK hip hop, who's in the TNT Rockers crew and an original UK b-boy, and has choreographed and worked with legendary artists like George Michael and Beverly Knight. I'm excited to say we have Colin McDonald, two-way, and the big boss from the Rampage sound, the mighty, the supreme, the Mike Anthony in the back of the motherfucking Ultra Cab.
That's right.
Hey, I need more intros like that.
Listen, if you're going to do it, you know, I've been out of breath a few times, but I need to get my steps in, innit? But Mike, listen, it's an absolute honour to have you in the cab, and you as well, Colin. You know,
Thank you.
All I want to say is one thing, is that me and Steve have been talking about getting you in the cab for a long time.
And I know you two go way back.
And I told him I could get you years ago, and I wasn't able to. So now I feel honoured that he's here, because his story is incredible.
Well, it's an absolute blessing and an honour to have you both in the cab. Do you know what I mean? And
listen,
Mike, listen, thanks for stepping forward to do this. I know you're probably on that jet lag thing as well. You just got in from, I think, Florida, innit?
Yeah, I flew in yesterday and I literally hit the ground running. But I mean, listen.
Hit the ground running, we're hitting the ground driving, man. You're in the world-class Iconic.
It's the first time I've been in a black cab without paying.
Listen, I do mates rates. But listen, it's an absolute honour to have you in the cab.
Privilege,
and I'm going to kick it straight off with the first two questions I always start off with is, whereabouts are you from and what was it like growing up, as a young kid?
Well, I was born in Ealing in West London in a house. I wasn't born in a hospital, Ketchin Road. And then we moved, all the family moved to Shepherd's Bush. My uncle had a toy store in Shepherd's Bush Market, which a lot of people know. As you enter the market, there's a toy store there, very famous toy store. And all the family from Guyana kind of lived Elmore Road in Shepherd's Bush. I'm half Grenadian, half Guyanese. And then from there we moved to Clapham Junction when I was about 5 years old, and then to Tooting. And then I grew up, went to school in South London. I've known Colin.
Where'd you go? What, Ernest Bevin?
No. There were only criminals went there. The Bevin. No, listen, Bevin. All my bridges are from Bevin. So I went to Broadwater as a primary school, and then I went to Clapham College in Clapham South, which is Francis Xavier College now.
I must say, right, London was a very different place.
Yeah.
It wasn't like what you see now. It's all like shiny, polished and developed. It was a place where it was grimy. It was like, very industrial, a lot of wasteland, a lot of division as well. It was a lot of tension back then as well.
Yeah, I mean, I remember my first time going to Clapham College, and those were the days of the NF, and you get the old swastikas and the mohawks, and I remember going there, and I think that time was the first time like there's black kids in this Catholic school, and Clapham College back then had a monastery inside the school where we used to go to do mass every 2 weeks on a Wednesday, and then it had a nunnery at the back. So it was very much a very strict Catholic school. It was nuts, and I remember that the playground would be like an L shape, and all the youngers would be at the front. And back then we used to have inter-school fighting, so another school would probably try and rush your gates and come in, and then all the young ones would run around the back, and they would follow us around the back, and then they'd turn, and all the NF boys are there like, yeah, all right, let's have some of that, and then they'd rush them back out around the front. But it was tough. It was tough.
But what it did have was a lot of soul and a lot of flavour. I mean, those early reggae sound systems as well, popping up all over London.
Yeah.
Your Jazz Shaka, your Young Line, your Saxon, your Prince Melody, Unity. I mean, I can go on.
Yeah.
But that was an incredible time as well for sound system culture and the blues parties.
Yeah, I mean, that was the days of a very young, smiley culture, and then man, they're from in Brixton, and that's when you look back, and that was really when you first heard about sound systems from a young age. Because remember, back then there was only Tony Blackburn, I believe, on Radio London would give you on the weekend a little bit of R&B. It was the only other R&B we could get was from pirate radio station.
100%.
So LWR was for me the go-to station, and Zach, who owned LWR, I would not be and would not have done radio if it wasn't for Zach from LWR. And I remember when, as a very young kid, going to Carshalton Park, I remember sitting, and JFM, Jazz Funk Music, who I think it's an offspin of Radio Caroline, were in Carshalton Park, and my big cousin Ian Paul, him and Paul Oakenfold and Zach, and they were in the park, and that was, I remember about 11 years old or 10 years old, sitting in the park, and like thousands of people like, I want to do that, and it was exposure, and seeing Paul Oakenfold and my cousin there, and I'm like, wow, a family member has this, a family of mine, someone I know has created this environment. To get your fix of music was the pirate radio.
The pirate, you're bang on the money, Mike. The pirates were pivotal.
Yeah.
You know, these stations, Invicta, JFM, LWR, KISS.
Yep.
You know, all them stations were like, they would be the places what were playing the underground music that the commercial stations were not playing.
Yeah, I remember going to Uppercut Stadium when Five Star were lowered through the roof as a kid. And I was really young. I hadn't even really got into the DJing side of things. But this again, you had Lyceum, and you again, there was very few DJs that had the money and the power. And what LWR did was set the benchmark. You can imagine a pirate radio station with over 2 million listeners was just unheard of. They were the first to use the Carlsberg guy with the deep voice.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah.
Mad adverts.
Yeah.
And they had so many people listening. They were a threat. And I remember certain legal stations at the time paid extra money to the DTI to keep LWR off air. That's how deep it was. Because imagine 2 million people listening to black music. You're taking it away from the legal side of things. So it was, the idea was keep them off air, keep them off air, keep them off air. And like I said, if you look at the pioneers who were on air at the time, from the Jigs, the Daddy Ernies, Wing Commanders, all those guys there, DJ Lane, all as young people. They were young DJs at the time on Pirate. It was just an amazing period of learning. And then you drive around and you'd lose the frequency.
Yeah.
And you go to certain areas. And you're like, okay. And you had the old radios with the
aerials.
Yeah, and
It's
it
like
gets
a aerial around like that. Like a torch.
Yeah. Yeah, and your mixtape was the pause mix. So you're pausing as the DJ's talking. You pause and you unpause.
100%.
And you get
trying to cut out the voice, and you're kind of, don't talk over that track because I want to record the whole thing. But there were some amazing DJs as well, you know, on those stations, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, so many. I mean, we could reel off one after the other, you know. And another thing then Pirates done as well, apart from promoting the underground clubs and all that as well, it pushed those DJs into, you know, a huge, like some of them DJs blew up massively through pirate radio.
I mean, they would not be the One Extras of the world, Capital Extra. They would, all these stations, they would not exist without the passion of the pirate radio DJ. I remember the two, they're not there anymore, the two big tower blocks in Hackney, and I would be at the top of the tower block, wind blowing, putting back up the transmitter that had been taken down by the DTI.
What station was that for?
That was LWR.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, so you done that?
I did.
No.
Yeah, as me and Richie, we'd done that. I remember the decks were on an ironing board.
No school like the old school.
Yeah. In this flat right at the top, and then the transmitter going down. That's going up on the roof.
What was the transmitter? What did that look like? Because I interviewed Gordon Mack from Kiss FM, and he was telling me it wasn't like a CB aerial. It was quite.
It was proper. It was proper. Thing. It wasn't no small thing. And I remember because Kiss, Gordon, was the rival to LWR after LWR kind of had the market, and Gordon and all those guys were on LWR, and then they split, and then they created Kiss. And I used to remember I'd be in the car with Zach, and we could find other stations. Literally, he showed me because we were driving around. And he's got the radio with these the signal, and then as it gets stronger, he's like, it's up there.
You was following the signal.
He goes, that's where the signal is. So what you'd have was other stations bleeding onto your frequency, but there wasn't as many pirates back then, so there was an understanding, and there was a mutual respect to, like, just stay off my frequency. It's not a problem.
Or else.
Yeah, or else. Because at the end of the day, that was how we would find out where the raves were, where the events were, who was coming in the country, the performances. Without Pirates, the radio station was our lifeline. It was our bloodline.
100%.
For all the information in the community, especially in the community.
Going back to the early hip hop era, you know, 1979, we was hearing records like, you know, your Curtis Blow and Sugar Hill Gang and all that. 1982, the electro started to kick in with Planet Rock, Perfect Beat, Johnson Crew and Pac Jam and all that stuff, which was incredible and mind-blowing to hear so early. How was it, how did you get into hip hop, or was you into the early rap stuff, electro, and then what become hip hop?
I was really blessed growing up, to be honest. My brother was a music collector, so I could go into the living room and all of his records were there. So I was really spoilt in terms of listening to we had from Bob Marley to Stevie Wonder to Parliament, Funkadelic. My brother's collection was amazing. My uncle is Alistair from Rap Attack. So
really big up Rap Attack, man. Legendary. Legendary.
Yes. Oh. So you learn something new every day.
Yeah, Rap Attack, one of the legendary songs.
So yeah, and as a kid, I'd go to his raves as well. So first we got the music collection side of things. Then my dad had his own band and was a bass player and had a studio at Rectory Gardens in Clapham. So yeah, so I would walk from Clapham College and go and do my homework while he's rehearsing downstairs with the band. And he'd been on tour all over Germany with the Fifth Beat, or the old drummer. I've forgotten his name now. And then I remember growing up, I'd go and play football, Clapham Common. And back then I didn't know, I mean, he's playing with Bob Marley. So when you look at the film of Bob Marley's playing football in London, it was at Clapham Common, so my dad would play football. And I didn't know who these guys were. I didn't realise until my dad told me, just before he passed away. And I showed him a picture of me, Treble T from Rampage in the lift at One Extra, and Damien, Stevie and Julian, all his sons. And my dad looked at the picture and he goes, "Oh, you're with Bob's kids." And I'm like, "Bob's kids? You make it sound like you know Bob Marley." He goes, "Yeah, don't you remember? I used to play football." And I didn't know. I was too young to remember back then. But and then my uncle and my aunt had a company called Music Service in Europe. It was the largest music DJing agency in the whole of Europe. And his band was really famous as well. And he used to run Dave Grusin's jazz label as well. So when you got these three men in your life...
Inspirational.
My uncle was the first time I ever saw a black man with a £100,000 Mercedes and a Ferrari. And these things are now touchable.
Back then that was rare, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So for me, it was... I was automatically thrown into that world of, and then my cousin Ian with, Paul Oakenfold, you're immersed in it. And then growing up with people like Colin, you're surrounded by people who love music, because there was no other distractions. It wasn't like we had video games and all this kind of stuff. We were too young even then to really go raving. We had to kind of create our own environment, our own spaces for breakdancing and body popping. And I remember my mum, as a single mum, would go to work, and then my brother would be at school, and then I would sneak in and take his record, and I'm playing and I'm practicing that, and I'd put it back precisely so he wouldn't know that I was playing the music. And that's how the influence of not just hip hop but all music. I was across all genres of music. But like most things, if this is the period of garage, you're into garage. That was the period of electro, and like you say, Pac-Man, all these kind of things. You're just like, I want to do that. And then you go Covent Garden, and man, them is this.
It was electric, wasn't it?
Oh, listen, nowadays, young people will stay in their house and put some headphones on and play on a PlayStation. Our job was to sneak out
and take it to the street.
Yeah, exactly.
In terms of, was you a b-boy, a popper, locker?
Body popping was for me.
And who was inspiring you, as a dancer? Would it have been some of the guys from New York, like Rocksteady Crew and all that, or?
When I tell you what, and we all know it, when we saw that Top of the Pops with Jeffrey Daniels done that, oh my God. So I've pulled a sofa out from the wall.
Done the backslide.
I'm trying
to do the backslide.
And also there was a club in Wimbledon called Tiffany's of Wimbledon, where SAS used to be, Basel, Liverpool. Yeah. So we used to all go there and battle, and we would walk home from Wimbledon. We'd pass the old Renault, the Renault place with the Renault 5 turbos. And we'd walk home. Every week we would go there, but it was a safe environment. It was a very safe environment, and we were kind of immersed in our own world. It was not a commercial world. It felt like it was ours. It's our music. we're the ones raving, we're the ones DJing, we're the ones partying, and there's no corporate influences, and you went there to hear. If you didn't hear it on pirate radio, you went there to hear the latest hip hop and the latest electro beats and all that kind of stuff. That's what it was about. That's what made it so exciting. There was that thirst, that hunger for new music.
It was a special time back then, wasn't it, as well? And as you said, it wasn't violent, really that violent. It was like taking it to the floor and battling on the floor with your movements.
Well, remember, it was everything, because we had Elise, Sergio Cicchini, Fila. We had the clothes. Yeah. So they had the gums. You've got the gazelles.
Would you mean like the headbands and all that?
No headbands. No.
And the leather gloves. Never studded gloves.
I did get the long curly hair. I didn't have the leather gloves with the cut off fingers.
Yeah, do you remember them? And the fox's tail.
And we go to Millets and get the military jackets.
I remember that well.
And they put those guys that had SAS on the side. I was like, oh mate,
like branded caps.
Yeah. So we created, like I said, all our own. It was just ours. And my thing is, we were at the beginning of it, even though, of course, America was they were the originators,
created it,
and then we would get it, but we would get the imports.
Put our own spin on it.
Yeah, so we would get it late, but the pickup on it was quite. All them Buffalo Star, all them tunes was coming out.
Buffalo Girls and all that.
Yeah, so we had the influence, but it wasn't like we were immersed. We were in New York. So we had to create. So when you see Colin breakdancing and you see Bionic and you see Basil Liverpool and you're like, rah, you're like, what's that other man are going on? You're going home to practice. You're going home to practice because that's your competition. And there was this nervousness, even when you're battling, there's that nervousness, like don't flop. Don't flop. Dance floor was clear. David was the DJ at the time. Oh, mate, it was like, watching his interview brought back so many memories, literally so many memories.
Yeah, it's amazing. Anyone watching this, I'm going to leave Colin's interview in the description box below. So click on Colin, because Colin's got amazing history as well.
Yeah.
I think what you'll agree as well, Mike, is that London and New York, we had a special connection, and it went back even like from the days of The Clash, when they brought over Futura 2000.
Oh,
and,
mate.
And you know, we had the early like Bam and all Rocksteady crew and all that coming over around 1980, I think it was 82, around then. The New York City Rap Tour, I think it was called.
Yep.
But we had all these connections with New York. We was very, very close. Do you know what I mean? What they was doing, we was, as you said, we was kind of picking up on that pretty quick.
Yeah, I'd been to New York because we have a lot of family in Brooklyn and in Queens, and then my dad was actually living in New York in the 80s. He moved to New York, so I was able to again experience. And I mean, when you said Futura 2000, The Clash, again, go back to Carl Shorten, age 10, 11, was when I first heard it, and it was Paul Oakenfold that played it. That was a time when Divine came out. And
yeah.
So
Divine.
Yeah, exactly.
Divine. What a tune. Yeah.
So again, that electro feel, when being in New York, I remember at night you could go out and stand on, and you could hear them spraying Uzi fire, machine gun fire on the rooftops in the ghetto in Jamaica, Queens. Like you're like this is some different business out here. It's like you said, it was over here was like a peaceful time, and it was a relatively safe place, but over there was real. That was what they were talking about, what they were spitting about. It was their only escapism. It's almost like when you look at when you look at, for example, football, and you think for young black ballers, you want to get off the street and you want to come and you go into sports. And my mum would say they're just using you for music, they're just using you for sports, they don't want you for anything else. Over there, it was real. That was your get out, was to get into the music industry, hook or by crook, in this ever emerging, ever growing, which is now the number one force in the world, which is hip hop. And it's a blessing that we were able to witness it, live it, and be part of it as it grew.
As it was growing,
yeah. As it was changing.
And we're talking about we're talking hip hop.
Yeah.
So we're not just talking about people MCing.
No.
We're talking about the whole culture. We're talking about the b-boying, the
Graffiti,
breaking, the popping, the
everything,
grap.
everything.
Yeah, all the elements.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And you can only, again, you had less distractions back then and less things pulling you in different directions, so you fell in love with it. It then becomes your, even if you turn and say, I want to stop DJing, you don't really want to stop DJing. I don't listen to music as much. Yeah, but you still do listen to music because it's in your DNA.
I don't think you will ever give up.
You can't.
I've just done an interview with a guy, right? He's 84 years old. He had a sound system called Prince Melody. He was at the Carnival in 1976.
Yeah.
It was his sound system when it kicked off
Yeah.
under the Westway. He was telling me the story. But he's 84 years old and he's still playing and collecting music.
Yeah.
It's in us, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, my dad gave me my first speakers to go and do a party. So my dad built these speakers in Clapham in Rectory Gardens, and I remember loading these speakers in the back of this Rover 2000.
Remember them? Yeah.
Horrible car. Like, it was what the police used to drive, and I remember buying it for like £350. And I remember our first like parties were like doing a friend's birthday party, and so the difference is that I had support from my brother, from my uncle, from my dad in what I wanted to do. It wasn't a case of you be a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant. It was like I wanted to do music, and they helped me.
They was a big inspiration.
Yeah, so I was very, very, very lucky, and then, like I said, your friends around you, they kind of lift you as well. They kind of, it's our journey that we can sit here 40, 50 years later
still talk about it.
and still talk about it.
Yeah, 100%. And another thing, London had some incredible DJ crews. You touched on one of them, Rap Attack, Legendary,
Yep.
Imperial Mixers, The Syndicate, Mastermind, Rockbox, Boogie Bunch. The DJs coming from out of those crews, your Pogos, your Swift, your Streets Ahead, all them.
Yep.
Legendary, Cosmic, we really did embrace this culture, especially on the DJing side as well. We was bringing through amazing DJs.
Yeah, I mean the influence of the Jamaican sound system, and you can see that in New York with Biggie and even the first hip hop MCs is from toasting in Jamaica. Let's not kid ourselves. That's where it comes from. Jamaica is responsible for the lyricists, the lyrics, the rappers, the influence. And again, when you're 6,000 miles away, it then takes on a life of itself.
I think some of that does come from toast. It's a real it's a blend, a kind of mixture.
Yeah,
because I'll tell you what London done especially was bringing that kind of ragga style rap.
Yeah, that's what I say. When you're thousands of miles away, you do your own thing. It's not the same because you're just not there. It's like when you listen to hip hop and drill music now or grime music now. When them men are spitting lyrics, it's hours. Back then, man wanted to rap like an American with an American accent.
Bang on, yeah. And that's what the early rappers of the UK was doing. I'm not going to call that, but there's a lot of legends that were doing that. They were rapping, including myself, in an American style accent.
Because when you have Demon Boys and then London Posse and that was like, boys, hold on a minute.
Yeah, they
come
were
on,
their own twist
with
on
a Cockney accent. You're like, what?
Yeah, without a doubt, they was putting that kind of London style on it.
I mean, you think about it, even down to when Lovers Rock is from here. Again, it's you have to adapt it and change it to the culture, your environment. We can look at Carnival. There's always this complaint about, it's not like Trinidad, but we're not in Trinidad. We're not in Grenada. We're not in these places. We're in London. So it's the London Notting Hill Carnival.
This is a London thing, isn't
it? So our core is the Caribbean, and that will never change. So you have the floats, you have the costume, you have the origins, but you have to also be inviting to where we're at. Otherwise, okay, let's just get a field somewhere and shrink it down and just have soca. That's it. That's all we can do. But 2 million people, we're the second biggest festival in the world.
And Carnival's been going from what, early 60s?
Yeah.
I think the first Carnival, I think in London was in St Pancras in the town hall in the 50s.
Well,
late 50s.
well, it was the death of an individual that really started the whole thing off with the protest. And if you go to Grenada, it's about slave uprising. So when they put oil over them and they got the horns, it was like almost like against the slave master. So there's a deep history. It has different meanings, but the core is uprising. It's about rebellion. It's about scaring the slave masters to leave you alone and stuff. So you get immersed in that history in the culture. But Carnival's that's another part of this interview that we because that's a whole another deep conversation.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about Carnival. I've got quite a detailed kind of little thing to talk about Carnival. But going back to the 80s though.
Yeah.
From the early 80s, you had all the new romantic music. You had the rap music, the electro music that become hip hop music. Then you was bringing in like the Balearic style music, acid house, hip house. I mean, the 80s was an amazing time for music. The way it was all kind of developing so quick. We went through all them different stages in the 80s.
Yeah. The difference was back then was it was very segregated, like you mentioned before. So us growing up, it was a black rave with black music. So you'd go to a reggae dance and it's reggae music. That's the soul and rare groove. The acid house is over there. That's them guys doing whatever they're doing over there. I didn't go to that rave. That's not me. They're not coming to my rave. So it was broken up.
It was totally. You're bang on the money. It was broken up.
And that's why I said, like, Tiffany's in Wimbledon, for us breakdancing and body popping and battling and stuff, that was our world. No one ain't coming from, if you're into whatever music, you're not coming to that. And then in there you had, like, during the 80s, you had Jackie Body, all that was coming through.
And Nitro Deluxe.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, what a tune, yeah.
So, so when you got it departmentalized, each one grows and then changes at a different rate. Now, I then had a blip in this period because I left London in the mid 80s. I left as a kid. I was doing naughty things. So my mum said, I'm sending you to Switzerland. And
so you kind of missed out a little bit on that.
But I also learned a lot because just before I left at 14, 15, I was going to Rap Attack raves over in the factory in West London. So I got to see, they're playing Secret Rendezvous, Cheryl Lynn, you're like, okay, this is, you're going to certain records, Bluebirds and all that to get the pirate bootleg version of certain albums, you know what I'm saying, Renee and Angela's album, and you're listening on the radio, where's there a copy of that album available? So I've then slipped out of that era of pirate radio, and now I'm over in Switzerland. I was supposed to go for 3 months, calm myself down, and I ended up staying there for 3 years. Because when I got there, my mum actually didn't realise, but she sent me into the Lion's Den. So now I've gone from my brother and my dad to my uncle. So my uncle's touring all over the world and around Europe, and my aunt's running this massive agency. And the acts that are coming in are like Mel and Kim.
Wow.
You're talking about Tina Turner. So I remember, I'm at dinner. I remember I never forget
meeting them.
Yeah, but I didn't. Listen, I'm having dinner at my aunt's house, a long table, and there's this American woman at the end. I don't know who she is, and we're talking. And it's only like years later I find out it was Tina Turner, but she didn't have a wig on. Wow. So I didn't know it was her. She didn't have a wig on. So I'm like, who's this? So it's an American woman.
And it was Tina Turner.
Her name's Tina.
Wow.
I know who she is. So I'm being surrounded. I'm going to some of these shows. I'm seeing James Brown on stage. And my aunt's like, listen, you can't hang out here. There's a very famous club in Switzerland called the Blackout. Massive. One of the best, #1 clubs in Europe. Right by Zurich Airport. And I'd go and hang out there and I'd play pool. I'd lie about my age to get in. I'd tell them I'm 18 and I'm not 18, I'm 16. But my aunt knew the club owners and stuff. And the DJ box is suspended in midair above the crowd. So you're walking into these, they don't have this in England. You're like, wow. You go to another club in Oerlikon in Switzerland, and the DJ box is in a helicopter.
Wow.
So the helicopter's in the middle of the club, and the DJ box is the cockpit. And you're just like, and the lights, so the propellers are the lights. You're like, how much money are they putting into these clubs? You're just surrounded by it. But what I realised going to Europe was they didn't have black music. So I imagine I'm with Colin, we're out raving, we're out body pop, break, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, you go, and they're like Italo disco. So I remember my aunt told me there was 300 DJs in the agency all over Europe. She goes, you got to learn to DJ. And my uncle also had a record shop. So I'm working in the record shop just to make a little money. I'm hustling, playing pool at Blackout. And then Richie, who we started, this is before Rampage, who taught me to DJ. I'm in the record shop, and I'm remembering everything it's taught me. So I'm there with the decks. It's like like people would come in and listen to music and then buy the albums. So I'm there practicing mixing every day because I'm bored. And I'm like, Mark's like, we're going to send you out to DJ and put you in the agency. You're going to go and do bookings. So I'm like, how does this work? And this is foundation information to how the industry works now. Go to a club, you're contracted. So they might put me in Wengen in Switzerland. And people have not heard of Wengen. Maybe some have skied there. My contract is for a month. You DJ 6 days, 1 day off. Your where you live, your apartment is above, your flat is above. The club is downstairs. Most clubs had a restaurant, so your food's free. You're DJing 6 days a week. It's a business. It's literally a 9 to 5. I've never seen DJing as a 9 to 5. Remember, DJing is a hustle. So I'm out there and I'm like playing music that I know. So I'm playing Off the Wall, Quincy Jones. I am not playing that music over there. So what would happen is the clubs would advertise there's a new DJ coming in this month. So this is all eye-opening to me. So I'm on the train. I didn't drive then. I'm going from city to city and I'm on a train and I'm seeing my face on a poster. Never seen that before. So there's a young black kid where there's no black people in this place. And you get there, and all these women are in there, and they're like, this is a black guy. Like, so you're like a novelty. And I'm playing black music. I'm playing Michael Jackson's Bad album. I want to play black music. I'm playing Gwen Guthrie. I'm playing this kind of music. By the time I'd finished 3 years in Switzerland, I'd gone from this 16-year-old to the top 10 DJ in the agency. And my aunt told me I was in the top 10, and I didn't understand how she worked it out. And she said, what the clubs do, they look at the DJ they had for the month, and they look at the bar takings. And they say,
right,
we want him back. And then we want him, and then I was literally every month going from club to club. I'm taking trains to Austria, to Switzerland, to France, to Italy, and I'm traveling around with. And back then, I couldn't afford at the time normal record boxes, so I had the milk crates.
Oh, you're using milk crates. Wow.
So I'm on the train with milk crates and suitcases.
Wow.
And
you're 16 then?
Yeah, 16, 17, 18. So I finished there at 19.
19, yeah, 3 years.
So I was like experiencing the business side. So imagine I was getting, and this is going to sound crazy, I was getting £2,000 a month. Wow. Back then.
That's big money,
That's big money. Remember, no bills, didn't have to pay for food, and I'm getting this every month. Nice. So I'm earning I'm like, DJing's the way forward. So, not knowing that, I've forgotten that it's a hustle here, it's a hustle in America, but there, it's 6 days a week, 1 day off. And Richie came out. I remember we was in a ski resort in Lausanne, and Richie was the only one that really came out and saw me. And we did like private house parties, and he was in the clubs and stuff. And he kind of saw, and we both saw the business angle of it. And I remember the jazz festival was on. So Lausanne is up above, and Lausanne is down below with the Lausanne Jazz Festival. And I remember in a cafe, and I met Nina Simone in there. And that was an experience in itself. And she spoke to me about the industry as a black, iconic civil rights person. To meet someone like Nina Simone is Like, it's like sitting down with James Brown having
She's
a
like one of the legends of legends, isn't
yeah,
it?
you've got James Brown, Nina Simone, you've got during the civil rights period, and I remember in Switzerland she had a bloody gun in her bag. Yeah, I remember she went to the bathroom, her purse was there, I could see the gun handle, and I'm like, oh damn. But I think back then she was living by then in Europe at that point. So you're surrounded and you're seeing this industry, and then Richie coming. That's when he started to bring me music from London that I couldn't get. Boom, Raw comes.
Oh,
Big Daddy Kane.
Yeah.
You're like, what's this ding 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 ding? You're like, hold on. Yeah. Then you got Eric B and Rakim. So remember that was the blip. So I'm getting this stuff, and I'm the first to have it in Europe. And back then, there was no downloading. People are like, what's this tune he's playing? And I'm playing all this hip hop that I'm getting fresh. Richie's bringing me this stuff that not even the record shop was getting. So that blip, this was like a breath of fresh air. I'm missing out on this stuff.
I need to get back.
Yeah.
I need to get back to the smoke.
So when it was time to come home, just before the 90s, like 1990, I was still young, but now I've traveled. I've treated it as a business, and I'm like, I want to run it exactly how I've just run it. I want to run it. So that's why if the beginning of Rampage, we ran it. Our office was in a car. We had mobile phones. We would, back then, signing on. I'd take my signing on money and go and print flyers. My experience in...
I was going to say the logo.
Yeah. My experience of marketing, driving on a train and seeing my face, my big face on a poster. I've never seen that before. So I'm like, no, I've got this whole thing about marketing.
An image.
How to dress. So I got involved. I remember we were already influenced from the hip hop days of dancing in the tracksuits and being part of that whole culture. So now I'm there with expensive belts and, back then it was shoulder pads and jackets. The high top, remember? The high top was coming in.
With the tram line.
Yeah.
Remember the tram line?
So I'm in Switzerland and I'm getting this picture from, I brought the album in, the one of Big Daddy Kane, with the high top.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, I want my hair cut like that. And she's like, you got kind of Indian in your hair, you can't make your hair stand up. So I'm going from the Jerry curl to the high top now. So
you're changing it up.
So coming back was, I have this, because now, I'm DJing 6 days a week. So it's not, I'm just practicing at home. This is now, I'm at work. So I'm in work mode. Whereas all the guys are still, they're in love with I'm like, nah, this is a business now. So my business mind has kicked in. So I've come back and I remember sitting down with Richie and we're doing house parties. I remember we were DJing for Stylist to Wax and doing all these house parties and events. And I'm like, we're making all these other people money, but we're the DJs. How come they're making money? So I'm like, we need the regularity of playing. And we found this guy in Streatham, who owned a house in Streatham. He owned about 45 properties, but not all of them were full, all around London. And I remember we were doing the house parties and I said to Richie on the phone, look, we need a name. And I remember I was flicking through my records, and I'm on the phone with Richie and I'm flicking through my records and I pull out LL Cool J Rampage with EPMD. And when I saw Rampage, and let's call ourselves Rampage. And the reason why I thought of Rampage was because of Rap Attack. One word, beginning with R, Rap Attack, Rampage. And then Richie's on the phone and he's like, yeah. And he's working all these different scenarios in his head. And we've come up with Richard and Michael performing and giving entertainment.
Brilliant. Genius.
So we then go to, we needed a logo. And Stephen Lawrence designed our logo, God rest his soul. He used to work at 4-Star General.
What do you mean, Stephen Lawrence?
Yeah, who died. Yeah.
He used to work in 4-Star General.
Yeah. Our logo got designed not many people know this.
I never knew that. I used to go 4-Star General a lot.
In Camden, yeah.
No, in Carnaby Street.
Cardiff, yeah. But I went to the one up in
Camden.
It moved.
Yeah.
That's
Mark and Mo ideas.
Because I would go next door to Soul to Soul's shop, record
That's
shop.
right, in Camden. What,
Yeah.
in Camden? Yeah.
So we needed this logo, and then we went and we did a house party. Our first event as Rampage was a house party, and I was kind of scared, so I called my uncle, and it was Rampage and Rap Attack, and it was empty. It was a flop.
The first rave you did was with Rap Attack.
Yeah, very first ever rave as Rampage was with Rap Attack. And we hadn't even got the logo polished, so it was still getting ready. We used Mantronics, you know, the two guys standing by the side to side. So we silhouetted it, and it was like Richard and Michael, kind of like side to side. So we kind of pirated it and made it a silhouette. And then when we got the logo done, that's when it started to kick off, because the guy that gave us these houses was moving us all over London. So we do a house party in Kilburn, one in Wood Green, one in Brixton. So no one knew where Rampage was or where we were from.
Like Reg.
No, I'm
Not
trying.
Reg.
I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Which you remember? I forgot it. He's passed away now. But people didn't know if we were South London. Because back then it was either your West London or your South or your East London.
You did something down Woolwich, my neck of the woods, Woolwich, South East London.
We was everywhere.
You was all over.
He was all over, and all of our mates would help us. So Jay Smooth, who ended up being in Rampage, Shorty Blitz would hand out flyers for us because he wasn't even DJing then. He was still. This was like all of our people, and then everybody. The hottest thing now was where's Rampage playing next week. So we had our own little network of how it was growing, and I remember as we would come out the end. Back then, remember back then you had the louver windows in the houses at the top. So you'd open the window, and the louvers would open. And I remember we were doing these house parties, and I'm DJing, and Carl, Richie, and them guys would be like, they'd knock on the window because I'm in the alcove where the DJ box is set up. And their hands would come through the window, 100, 200, 300. So I'm putting it in my pocket. And they're like, 100, 200. So by the end of the party, my pockets are like bulging with money.
You're like a cab driver.
And then we would go to McDonald's for breakfast. I'll never forget this. And then we'd take out all the pound coins, and there'd be like £300 in pound coins. So everybody, all the girls, and then we'd buy them all breakfast. And everything, McDonald's breakfast, and then we'd have all the money and all the cash.
How much was you charging on the door to get in?
£5.
£5.
But we would do.
You was making money on the drinks as well.
No, it was just, we didn't care about the bar. Just bring your own drink, whatever. Yeah. So when we was making this kind of money now, we started to kind of expand a little bit. So we never ever. Apart from my dad's speakers, which we then stopped using, but my dad, by that time, when I was in Switzerland, he'd moved to America. So I didn't have access to those speakers anymore. So we would rent speakers. There was a place on Harrow Road up in Harlesden that we would rent. And so we would literally pick up the speakers, go do the rave and drop the speakers back. So even though we were a sound system without our own equipment, because we had no storage.
So that's the main reason why.
Yeah. And we would rent the turntables, or Richie would bring his turntables out. And so that was for us, the house party. What changed from house party to club is we were doing a house in Kilburn, and I brought a strobe light in. And imagine a strobe light in a house party would just be going off. So we played Crystal Waters. La da dee da. And then, you know when the beat drops, I flicked the switch and the strobe light was
going crazy.
And the crowd went mad. And I remember I could see the ceiling bending.
It didn't collapse.
No, it didn't collapse. And I remember Michelle, she was underneath it and a light bulb fell out here in the top left.
I had a light bulb moment.
So, not Cardiff, Michelle.
No, this was I met her yet. This was Michelle Robb Michelle Robb and the Robb sisters. That was the first house party we did with my dad's speakers. It was a Suzette's birthday party. It was a 16th birthday party. So we were getting kids DJing. This is the history. So when I saw that ceiling bend,
was you thinking to yourself, we need like a bigger venue now?
Yeah,
like, the house parties are too small.
That was it. Literally, as that ceiling bent, I remember that as we finished, I remember sitting there with everybody saying, we can't do this anymore.
We've got to expand.
And this is how crazy it was. we unplugged the speakers upstairs, but the speakers downstairs were so loud, they were still jumping upstairs. And I'm like, no, I can see the ceiling going. I'm like, no, we got to stop this. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Now, coming to our house parties at the time was Freddie, Westwood, Ralph. They would just pop in. And so Ralph had the fridge in Brixton. And that was our very first real residency as Rampage in a club. We did Chocolate Factory in New Cross. So this was an old recording studio that closed down, and it was massive. It was massive. And Nicole from K2 Family and them man, there was there was like, Mike, do it. And of course we're nervous. We're going from house parties
to big club.
And we were doing all kind of, we were doing like swimwear parties, pajama parties. We were the first to have no smoking. We did not, because the smoke would make Richie have headaches. So we banned smoking. This is before smoking bans. So people would have to go in the garden and smoke. So we were way ahead of the curve. So we're making this transition. I remember us doing Chocolate Factory, and there's 2,000 people outside. And I remember we went to 4-star General, and those were days when, you had a tracksuit with your face on it. You had it graffitied, so we had Rampage graffitied on the thing.
Did you?
Yeah, and we had Richie had him with his high top on the back. I had me.
Have you still got them?
No, they did, mate. That Chocolate Factory, the paint couldn't stay on the clothes. It was soaking wet.
It's so hot. Yeah.
And then the second one, we put Westwood on it, because again, we didn't know if it was going to work. And it was just like 2,500 people turning up. So we're like, okay, we've got a little something here. And again, along the way has been this journey. We again, just before Rampage had started in the 1990, I'd come back from Switzerland, and I'd met Zach, who'd put us on, because I know we could DJ. I knew we could DJ. That's the one thing I knew we could do. Richie was way ahead of anybody else. He was cross-genre mixing. Like the first time I ever heard hip-hop mixed over reggae was him. I'd never heard that before. I'd seen him do stuff on the decks, and that's why when he taught me, coming back to England, hooking up with Zach, Zach had a club called American Dream, which was Turnmills, Clerkenwell Road. So I'm there DJing, and we're warming up. This is part of our LWR radio initiation. And he pulls out this test plate, and it's Soul to Soul, Keep on Moving, but the instrument, the words hadn't been put on the record yet.
Wow.
Just testing the beat in the club. And I'm there, Richie's there, Zach's there, and Carl Cox. Carl Cox wasn't even on the house thing yet.
Wow.
So we're just standing there and keep, and then he's bringing over artists are coming to it's called American Dream. So Bobby Brown's come one week, then Jocelyn Brown's come another week, and then such and such, all these famous people. So I'm getting introduced to all these famous people, and obviously I've come off the back of Switzerland, where I've met, Tina Turner and all these people, and that. So the whole art, you're just immersed in it, and you're seeing it all unfold in front of you. So now we've gone from these Chocolate Factory, and Ralph's like, come to the fridge in Brixton. And I remember we would drive past the fridge in Brixton, and Soul to Soul's logo was on the door. And I remember saying to Richie, I want my logo on that door. And then the day we took over from Soul to Soul at the fridge in Brixton, I saw the Rampage logo, and there's a picture of me doing this, and Richie's on there. So it's our logo on the door of the fridge in Brixton. And I'm like, we've made it. And I remember Ralph was able to bring over artists, so we did Naughty by Nature there.
I remember that. And
then we went to Hammersmith Palace, and we was with Teddy and Guy, with Aaron Hall and Damien Hall. So we're now doing these things, these shows, and it's like, wow.
I mean, this is kind of like going into the big time, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's gone from these started off as a little party to huge parties in houses to going to clubs to now bringing in all these superstars.
But remember, again, I've got the mentality of we're running a business. So I'm not like DJing. Obviously, it's fun, but this is a business. So I remember after we did Chocolate Factory, and we got paid. I remember pulling up outside Carl's in Bush, going down to Richie's, beep beep, and I've got an Escort RS Turbo convertible. XR3i with a full turbo kit on it. And I'm just there like,
Like the Don. The Don Dada.
So we're like, we've arrived. And then we do Fridge in Brixton, and D, who was managing us, because it was me and Richie, and I was working with D, doing a little part-time thing, and I'm like, we need a manager. So he's come on board, and we'd rent cars every weekend to do Fridge in Brixton, and we'd get 2 XR2Is, three, red, white and blue. Deliberately red, white and blue, XR3Is, because we're English, we're UK, and we pull up outside Brixton Fridge in red, white and blue XR3Is, and people would think it's the image, the marketing, the whole thing, the logo, everything.
And also you think about it as well, Mike. This is a time before things like Instagram and Facebook and all these
100%.
things. So you had that genius mind of marketing and pushing things to the next level, and you didn't really even have the, the social media. You didn't have any of that.
What gave us strength was having good rivals, and our rivals were Boogie Bunch.
Right.
Swing, all the boys, all them, they were our rivals. So it was almost like they would do their thing in Earl's Court, then they went over to Ritz over in Streatham, and we was at Fridge in Brixton, and there was this rivalry between, but it was a healthy.
It was a healthy and a respectful.
Yeah, rivalry. I mean there was a few arguments.
Big up to the Boogie Bunch as well.
Yeah, I mean, Swing for me is and always will be for me the greatest DJ for me. Not just because I knew him, but he embodied the essence of the DJ and the music and the culture, and the way he carried himself was like, for me, like that was for us our DJ's DJ.
Fun fact for you: he's born on January the 18th, 1968, same day as me, same day. He is actually born 3 hours before me.
Wow.
But yeah, go on.
When he passed away, on a side note, I mean, before he passed away, I remember we was in Napa together, in Ayia Napa, and it was Gilly, him and me. We were just sitting there, and we was on Nissy Beach, Adams Bar, I think it was, and it was empty by that point, and it was cleaning, and it was just us three sitting there, and the sunset was going down, and me and Gilly and Swing, we just started laughing. We were just cracking up for no reason. And I remember saying to Swing, I said, every moment is a moment in life. We will never see this sunset and be in this place
at this time
ever again.
Yes.
And that was the last. That's the last time the last time I ever saw him alive.
Oh really? Yeah.
And I remember when I came back to his funeral in Clapham, and they put an armband around me, and they asked me to carry his coffin. It was an honour. It was an absolute honour to carry, for me, one of our soldiers. It's our DJ's DJ. Those are the moments in life that you look at, and you put them all, the music and the industry aside to one moment, and that's one of ours. That's one of our boys, Yeah, but that rivalry between us was that was unbelievable. It was great. It was fantastic.
It was like going back in the day of being a b-boy and like you having a battle against whoever it was. But
Absolutely.
you'd have that respectful kind of thing for the other crew. Well, maybe. But, depends who the crew is.
Swing was good on the decks, but Richie was good on the decks as well. So we had our DJs.
Yeah. Nah, big RIP as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Big RIP. I'll tell you what. Let's go on to the big question.
Uh-oh.
So, Mike, when's the first time you actually went to the Notting Hill Carnival, and what did you think of the carnival, and what sounds was you seeing?
Back then, it was all about Rap Attack and Mastermind, and then even this is going before they went under the flyover. So they were kind of in their own sections under the flyover just before then. Obviously, Rap Attack with my uncle, I had the in, so. You'd see the man them, all them Al Nafish, all them tunes were playing in the 80s.
When are you going back to here? Is this kind of
this is the 80s. This is the 80s.
84,
Yeah.
85?
Yeah, 84, 84. Before I went to Switzerland,
Right.
I was there. So you had that whole genre, and guys would literally, you see them walking with flipping lino, and there's no space. But if you got there early enough, as before the crowd was building up, you could see the b-boys doing it. And that was also the time of when there was a promotion company called Jet Promotions.
Oh God! Oh yeah.
So Jet Promotions was the first caster trip that we knew for black ravers, and you had like 300 coaches from all over England going to Southport, and it was Jet Promotions, and that's where you're seeing Steve Walsh, CJ Carlos, the man them, Rodigan first. But again, the whole market, if this is before I'd gone to Switzerland, you're like, Rodigan's a white guy. You didn't even know that. Because until you go to the rave, you don't know who he is.
Norman J as well. I remember, because the first time I went Carnival was 85. And Norman J was DJing on, do you remember them decorators table that you put the
good
paper
times
on?
Yeah.
He was DJing on one of them until he really blew up.
Yeah.
But
it was all literally for us. It was I think obviously Rap Attack and Mastermind was how Rampage ended up being. That was the go-to spot. So again, you go there and you're like, I want this. I want to do what they're doing. So then going to Switzerland, coming back, you're like, you're going, and then Rampage didn't have a spot in Carnival.
I was going to say, how did you get this spot?
So Rap Attack, Master MC, Alistair let me play on the set. This time, Dr. Psycho had joined Rampage. So it's Richie, me, Dr. Psycho, and we're DJing on All Saints Road. And I'm like, I want this. Now, I then moved to Ladbroke Grove. So me and my partner were in Ladbroke Grove, and I remember I'd come in from a Rampage rave, Carnival weekend, and it was a Saturday night. I'd got in at, I think, 6 in the morning, gone to bed. Now, the road that I live on, there was no sounds on that road, because everything's on All Saints Road or in other spots. And all I hear about, because remember, I've got in at 6, is my windows started to, who's put a sound system on my road? I'm pissed. Because now I've got to go down and move my XR3i, right? Because I'm parked downstairs. It was soul to soul. So I'm like, bloody hell.
Well, you had to go in with a bit more of a light foot, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Remember, we already took over from at the Fridge Smith from them, and now he's on my road. Jazzy's on the road.
You can ask him to move.
So now I've moved my car, and I'm looking. I'm like, okay, but it didn't get packed, and this was soul to soul. So the Monday comes, it doesn't get packed. But I'm looking. I'm like, he's set up all wrong. He's now set up in the middle of the road, facing the flats. So his back's to the wall and he's facing the flats. So the next year comes and he's not there. So I then go to the Carnival committee and I'm like, I want to put Rampage, because obviously they've heard of us. I want to put Rampage at Carnival. We've got no spots. I said, I found a spot. You need power. I've got power. And they're like, where are you? I said, well, I'm in Coleville Square. So I lived on the road where Rampage is now.
Oh, okay.
And I set up, from going to see how Radio 1 set up with Westwood and Trevor and that, the speakers are facing down the road. And these 2 bits, I'm like, okay, that's what I'm got. So I got Blue Box and Turbo sounding on the first ever Rampage.
And how was you getting the power? Generators, or did you plug it into the house?
Mate, so the first Carnival, we're DJing, and every now and again we're hearing this zzz coming through the set. So what the hell's that noise? So the engineers are like, what is that? And it's coming through loud, like zzz, and there's thousands of people on the road. And we're like, the guy in the house has turned his washing machine on.
Was taking the power? What? It was taking the power? Or
Yeah, there was obviously a power surge.
Ah.
So every time he turned on his washing machine, and he was going.
Brilliant.
So that after that year, we brought the generator.
Generators.
in.
Yeah.
So that was our intro to Carnivals. Like, we took them on a site visit and said, This was where Soul to Soul is. They're no longer here. I want to be on this road. And they're like, it's the whole road. I said, yeah, I want the whole road. And the very first ever carnival we did, 8,000 people turned up.
Wow.
And we've been set up that same way ever since.
When did you first do the carnival?
94.
94.
It was amazing. Our first ever carnival sponsor was Shelly Shoes. Remember Shelly's?
Really? Yeah, Shelley's. I remember Shelley's. They had a branch on Oxford Street.
Yeah, the Shelly's. I actually saw a guy a year ago with a really faded out Shelly's t-shirt from Rampage Carnival. And what it is...
Oh, so you got sponsored by Shelley's?
Yeah, so what happens is we've realised that every year...
You get being a sponsor?
And then people keep that as memorabilia.
Of course.
Oh, I see.
And then you see someone rocking... Someone walked past me the other day in Tooting with a Rampage t-shirt on from Carnival. I'm like, that's from about 3 years ago. So you see these things. So yeah, Carnival 94, that was our introduction. And those were the days of like Mobb Deep, Slam, the mosh pitting. We'd already introduced jungle into our set. And I remember because Godfrey was at Shelley's and he also helped us with our marketing. Remember, I've got this whole marketing, supposedly genius idea of how we should look and image and logo and everything. So he brought in Shelley's because that's where he used to work. His cousin, who then came to the stage that carnival, was MC Skibadee. Right. Rest in peace. One of the greatest MCs of all time.
Absolutely.
And when he took to the stage, I could have turned Rampage upside down. That's how much he blew the street up. It was unreal, Because obviously he'd been on the pirate radio stations, on the cool FMs and stuff as a youth. He's a youth now, but when we launched him at Carnival, my God,
blew up.
Yeah, and we were the first to introduce jungle into a hip hop rave because we brought over Snoop. Snoop's first ever performance outside of the United States was with me at the Equinox Leicester Square. No one can talk to me. Don't chat to me. First ever performance, because he just got off the murder charge. And the Star newspaper put on their front cover, Snoop, kick this evil bastard out. It was on the front of the Star. And we went to the record company in England, in Kensington, and they didn't even realise Snoop was on their label. So we took our money, we brought Snoop over, and we did Equinox Leicester Square.
Wow. Well, hats off to you, Mike.
And he came with Lady of Rage, he came with all the guys, and he actually did his own video. There's a video on YouTube of him, and you see him with his crew. They're in the back of a cab or a car, and you see me introduce, a very young me, introduce him on stage and at the Equinox. And he said that's one of his favourite shows of all time.
That's absolutely incredible. That's mind-blowing. I mean, you are a genius. You are a marketing. Do you know you remind me of a little bit like he's like Del Boy or one of them characters.
No, but it's having a great when you got someone like Richie, Psycho, and you've got these people with you in your
it's
collective.
A team, isn't it? It's a team.
Yeah, because we bounce off each other. There's once you set yourself a standard. Even today, like I'm with Richie, and Richie be like doing this, that, and changing his Apple Watch wristband to match his clock, and we're like, "Sorry, Richie, but we'll blow you up there." Man's looking, we're like, "Right." I'm like, "Let me steal them trainers." So yeah, it's again, it's all part of, and we were the only sound system to have an office, a working office with a recording studio, where, Master Steps' Melody was made with Treble T. Before Soul Solid, they were a singing group. They came into our studio. They were like a four-piece boy men's group, and then they became the MCs. They weren't Soul Solid at the time. Yeah. So we meet everybody along as part of their journey because we're in the whole journey thing with them.
So you kind of give people a chance, before they've even really blown up. You give them a bit of shine, a bit of light.
Well, it's again, Carnival then became the stage to feature up and coming artists, because one of the things I realised was all these American artists were coming here with stage experience, doing shows to 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people. Back then, there were no events with 3,000, 4,000 people for us, unless we brought over Naughty by Nature, unless we brought over that. I did Nice and Smooth. I did Pete Rock, CL Smooth. I did Redman, Daz Effects. These are all the shows that I was doing in the early 90s. So, and I'm like frustrated because our own artists, and there wasn't that many we could call on in the early 90s. Again, it kind of, with music, it takes a wave. And until the garage scene came along, we were kind of struggling. So now all of a sudden, we're giving them Carnival. So I remember launching 90%. I remember Firing Squad. I remember Skibba being on our stage. As well, but then he's on stage alongside Buju, who turned up one year. Sean Paul turns up one year. And these artists would just come to stage and we'd never pay them. They just want to perform and they just see 10,000 people.
And it's a marketing thing for them as well, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
And then
So
we're just blowing up
out.
because it was like, we're going to Rampage and we're not announcing because we didn't know at the time. Everything happens by accident as well. This industry involves luck as well. A lot of luck. So the fact that we've got Sean Paul in the mid-90s, 97, doing Deport Them, and back then dance was running in it, and then Buju's come on, here's like, and they were like, and he just drops the mic and the crowd goes mad. You're like, oh, whoa, what's going on here then? And the crowd's going mad. This was then a time for like when Miss Dynamite comes and tears the street to pieces.
Legendary.
Yeah.
I love Miss Dynamite. I mean,
She-
flames of fire, you know, MC, her lyrics.
Listen,
and, yeah,
Naomi, Miss D, you are the reason Carnival cost me a lot of money because she did the infamous track. But what she did Boo, and then she flipped it into a drum and bass version halfway through. But she performed it for me the first time I was at Carnival. We heard it, and the crowd surged, and the barriers bent.
Wow.
The actual barriers were bent.
Wow,
At the
solid
end of-
steel.
Solid, mate. We then had to get the reinforced, you know, the ones with the stage at the back. So you got the pit barriers. So all of our thing now are pit barriers. Thanks, Naomi. That's your fault.
Blame Miss Dynamite.
It was like watching, you know, Indiana Jones with the big ball goes
yeah.
down. It was like that. The barriers all along the road were bent.
Wow, that's it. That's next level, isn't it? But actually, talking about that as well. Actually, stand on that note. You know, the safety side of things and all that must come into play as well, because you've got to keep people safe. You don't want like a stampede. You want to promote obviously peace, unity, and love at your rave. You don't want violence or trouble. So how does that kind of come in? Have you got like security there, or?
Yeah. So we were the first to bring in our own security because we had a lot of pushback from the police back then, and Rampage's first priority with anything we do is our audience. Doing SW1 in Victoria, and I remember having the line all the way down the road. It got to a stage where we would have our security all outside along the line. Psycho, myself, we would be outside and let whoever inside warm up and talk to our punters and make sure the line stayed. We'd put the girls one side, the guys one side. We wouldn't let them congregate, just so that everybody got in safely. Inside the rave, we would have spotters in plain clothes as ravers. Wow. In the 90s, we, of course, with the mosh, back then was, remember CS gas? People was letting off CS gas in raves and all that kind of stuff, and doing it at Carnival and stuff. And I remember with the police, we would say to the police, look, we want cameras on the road. And they wouldn't give it. They didn't have the resources. So we would buy fake cameras and put batteries in so that the red light would blink. And we put them up on the road. And then we would get a piece of A4 and put CCTV and laminate it and stick them all over the road and pretend
that
they're
being recorded.
Yeah, you're being, and we'd stop the music, we're being recorded, remember, be safe. So these were the things that we would do all the time, because we don't know who's coming to our raves. I remember one time we were doing Carnival, and the chief of the area came up to me and said, I'll never forget this. We're monitoring a group of guys coming in from Hackney, around 60 strong. I think they were monitoring them on the train, but they were monitoring 30 to 40 coming in from Harlesden, and then some coming in from Brixton, and they were like ETA around 6:30. So I said, okay, thanks for that. We're going to update you later on. This time it was 6 o'clock. I went up on the stage, said, thanks, get home safely, have a great carnival. Boom! Stop the music. Police were like, what? I said, you think I'm waiting for them to get here to stop the music? You lost your mind, star. You're mad. Stop the music. You know why? Because I paid for this shit. So I stop it when I want. You think I'm going to allow or let black people hurt themselves on my watch? So then the press the next day, this happens at Notting Hill and Notting Hill gets a bad press and this happened at Rampage. Nah, sir. It's not on my watch. No way. So even though we pay for it and we shell out all this money to do Carnival, those people on that road at Carnival is my main concern. And we can dress it up with all the acts and all the sponsors. Our biggest bill is not the equipment. It's our security and the safety of our punters.
And to be honest, Mike, you know, I'm pretty touched by that. I'm quite sort of moved by that, because that's quite a special thing, that you're not actually thinking of yourself or the money you're bringing in or whatever it is. As you said, the number one thing is keeping your fans or your crowd safe and bringing peace, unity and love within your dance. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that is key.
Seani B had told me something one day which has stayed embedded in my mind. And I remember he looked at me and goes, I've nearly died from my culture. And I sit down and I think about that, and I'm looking at Notting Hill Carnival. That's my culture. I've pumped in sponsorship fees and my own money nearly 1.5 to 1.7 million pounds into my culture to enjoy themselves for free. I'll be damned if I let someone come and ruin that for my culture. No way. It's not happening.
BBC One Extra was launched on the 16th of August 2002.
I remember it well.
And you was quite a big part of One Extra, wasn't you?
Yeah, there's a really good story to how One Extra was created. Trevor Nelson had behind the scenes and Westwood and these guys, they wanted their own black music station behind the scenes. But up until that point, you had Choice FM, WNK as at the forefront, and the problem that we were having was Radio 1 would play an indie record, a house song, a tech song, no adverts. Black music was still segregated, so you listen to Choice, you'd be like the reggae segue suite. Well, let's play 3 reggae tracks back to back. UK pressure, let's play 3 UK songs, and the hip hop. I'm like, now interesting, we were on BBC London, and because we cross genre mix, we were delivering dancehall mixed into hip hop, into R&B with no adverts. But so we didn't know that they'd been listening to us for about a year and saying, well, these guys are playing different genres of black music and they're not putting it into little segments of here's all hip hop and here's a half an hour of R&B and it wasn't done like that, and here's we were mixing garage into soca or garage into fast reggae, whatever. That's what we did. So Ray Paul, who was our producer at BBC London, said, hey, listen, they're thinking about creating a station. Go meet with Ian Parkinson. So I went over, met with Ian Parkinson. It was just a room in the Radio 1 building on Great Portland Street. So I went over there, and that's when he told me they've been monitoring us and listen. And they said, listen, you deliver music because of course you do the reggae segue sweep on Choice because it's after the adverts. there's no adverts on the BBC. We like what you're doing. We would like you to come on board. And so I'm like, and of course, I'm thinking with my business brain here. Ray Paul's the only black producer I'd ever seen in radio.
Really?
Yeah. And
Wow.
in terms of, especially within the BBC. And I remember when we was at SW1, we was on BBC London, and we'd already experienced LWR. When we went to BBC London, he was looking for us, and we were looking for a radio station.
Right.
So I remember Kiss wanted us, and all of Rampage were like, let's go to Kiss FM. And I was the one that said, nah, let's go to BBC London. Yeah, but no one ain't heard of them. And I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, because we're going to get the training. It's the BBC, they do TV, they do it all. And I said, and it's kind of unapologetically, but a bit embarrassing. I said, look, we're not voting on this. We're going to BBC. I remember Triple T said to me a few years ago, that's the best thing I ever did. so we went to Ray, and I remember we were doing a radio show. He wouldn't let us do it live because we were not polished. So we would pre-record. And we done 2 hours of the 3-hour show. And then we went to do SW1. And then after SW1 at 6 o'clock, we'd come back to finish up the show. All now our voices are so our voices don't sound like the first 2 hours.
A bit more croakier and
yeah. And I remember one time we came back in and we looked and said, haven't you gone home? And he said to us, if I don't stay here, there wouldn't be any black voices on here. These are the things like that Seani B comment that stick in your mind for the rest of it. I'm like, well, if he's going to be worked that hard, so am I. So after meeting with Ian Parkinson, I said to Ian Parkinson, when I was leaving, I said, the only way I will come here is if Ray Paul's my producer. So next week comes past. I go to BBC London, Ray Paul goes, what did you say to them? I said, well, the interview went to he goes, well, they just offered me an exec position over there.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. And for me, forget everybody else, because there's some big players in it, he was the essence of One Extra. His vision, the DJs he brought in, the doing a live event every weekend, because this was a digital radio station. And we're like, but phones are digital, so why is it not on the phone? Why? We were asking all these questions. So to grow the listenership, he literally did a live event every week from somewhere around. But remember, this is a national radio station. So what he then did was tap into Rampage's bookings. We would be at Icons in Leeds or Newcastle, and we were doing these events. So One Extra live from Newcastle, from Cardiff, from London, from... It gave us that large look, that big, we are, and then he brought in presenters from around, so we sounded like England. So Birmingham accent, Welsh accent, or wherever, Nottingham accent. So when One Extra was launched, we were the first voices on there. It was kind of like the ultimate dream, because I always felt, no disrespect to some of the DJs who are friends of mine, that radio DJs made crap club DJs and club DJs made crap radio DJs. And I wanted to get rid of that. So I said, why can't we be the best radio presenters? Even though I know we're not the best radio presenters, but we were half decent. And I remember our first ever show was Drive Time. And we got the radar figures in, and we're still building the listenership at One Extra. And there was more people listening to Drive Time than the entire station combined.
Wow.
So the next year, he's put us on breakfast, 6 a.m.
You're going to be tuning into that?
I'm like, you're not my friend, Ray. Why'd you do that for? I got into this industry to sleep in my bed in the morning. He's got me waking up at some ungodly hour. He goes, because we need listenership there. And it was he put Ace and Viz in the Drive Time. who then inherited our listenership, put us on breakfast. Within 2 years, it's the #1 show on the station. Then he put us mid-morning. He's moved us to 9 to 12. Oh, thanks, we get a little bit of lying. Then that becomes the highest listenership. Then in year...
Each time you do that, how long's the show?
A year, 2 years.
Year 2, wow, okay.
And then Ruby Mulbrain was our producer. She took away all of our features, which was the smartest thing, because it was about not selling the show on the feature, but selling it on us. So we would do this. We come up with ideas. Well, here's the playlist. This is what we're told to play. Some of the records I didn't want to play, like Too Poppy or whatever. So we said, why don't we take the playlist and mix it live?
Right.
So we'd have the mixing for half hour and so on and so forth, and deliver it different, because again, we could cross genre mix. So you'd have like a double time beat of a drum and bass song over a dancehall tune. So we're mixing it all live. So now we're DJing, literally mixing 5 days a week plus the clubs. Then we get to midday, the worst slot. We've moved us to midday, 11 till 2 now. No one listens to midday. And I remember when they got rid of us, Ben Cooper said, in all his years of radio, he has never seen midday as the highest listenership on a legal radio station anywhere. And we came up with the idea of pick and mix. So the audience would pick, we'd put the list of music, and they would pick. And so we'd send out shouts, and we had the highest female listenership, because there were a lot of ladies at home with, kids, raising kids and stuff, and parents at home. On the entire, we thought, like, who was the highest? It's got to be Ronnie Harrell's R&B, the smooth show, It was Rampage. It had the highest female listenership. We had the highest listenership midday. So when he goes, I've never seen this in my life in radio, of a midday show. So every year we had the highest listenership. And I remember we got the radar figures on a Friday. We were #1. The Monday they got rid of us. Yeah. Their mentality was, get rid of them at the peak so the drop is less. Why would they dip in listenership and then get rid of them so then the drop is... So get rid of them at the peak. But then we're back on. Because I personally, this is a personal thing, that some of the DJs, like, that tree has roots. Ain't no one got deeper roots than me. Behave yourself. Behave yourself. You can put whoever you want. You can put radio presenters on. Do what you want to do. It's your station. You could put radio presenters on there. But we got roots. We're deep in this thing. And I remember saying to T, listen, we were here before any of these radio stations. We'll still be here. We'll be fine. And we're still here.
Well, having you in the back of the cab mic, you shine through, and you can see straight away. I'm not just saying it because we're kind of on camera, but you are one of the real ones. Do you know what I mean? You are one of the real ones, and
I try to keep it honest.
Yeah.
And I don't mind telling you the truth, even if it. I will be honest with Colin. He's my friend. If as a friend I cannot be honest with him, and learn to upset him, even if he doesn't want to hear the truth, that's what a friend does.
Yeah.
100%. Someone who's not a friend ain't going to tell you the truth. He's going to let you fall. And if I see something, and I'm not the guru or anything, but if I see something I think this is detrimental to my friend, I'm going to tell my friend. And that's the industry. And there's sometimes I've had some really. I remember one time I went to Ray with an idea. So he's our boss. So I've come off and I've gone to him. Me and Treble T, we've gone with the idea. And he's killed me. He's ripped my idea to shreds. And he looked at me and goes, don't come back here unless you do your due diligence. Don't approach me. And I'm like, you know what? So everything I do now, I do my due diligence. I fine tooth comb every nook and cranny and every twist and turn. I can't afford for it to fail. So, and that's how I work. Even with Carnival, like Red Tower, Minal runs Red Tower. I brought her in to run Carnival, and it was new for her. But I wanted a woman of colour in an industry that's not been friendly. But I have a daughter. So she's been doing it for me for 10 years. We've been incident free, touch wood, for 10 years. We've been professional because of Red Tower. And if she says, Mike, you can't do that, I'm like, okay, Colin, I can't do it. Because Manal told me I can't do it. And yeah, and then if you can't argue, we do have arguments. If we can't argue passionately about something we love, then it's not worth doing it.
There's nothing wrong with arguing and disagreeing. It's the way you kind of handle that disagreement. You do it in a respectful way. You know, it's like there's nothing wrong with that.
So again, you surround yourself with good people. So you know, we've got T, Flymo, Maurice is in there. You know, with him coming with the Soul to Street setup. So we've grown in terms of how we move in the industry with the artists that we work with and up and coming artists, how we deliver our deliverables, how we've expanded, and we grow with the change with festivals coming in. We grow with the fact that COVID took 2 years out of our life, and when everybody was streaming every week from the bedroom, we decided not to. But when we did stream, the one time we streamed, going back to when we decided to go to the BBC, we delivered that stream like a TV show. So when we did Carnival, Rampage, stream.
Brixton.
No, we did it in Harlesden.
Oh, okay.
And what we did, we set up 2 DJ boxes that looked completely different in the same space.
In Brixton.
Yeah.
Brixton.
So we set that up, and then we called, and then we got Beanie Man in Jamaica to do a performance, film it, chopped it, and we had it there. And then this artist and that artist. So when we delivered the stream, it was like we had live performances as well, like Doneo was there, but then we'd be like, exclusive we talked to the camera, exclusive for you. We got Beanie Man all the way in Jamaica for Carnival, COVID lockdown, this is the big, boom, boom, boom. And then we go to Beanie, it's Beanie Man, Rampage Carnival. So it was produced like a live interactive TV show. Then we'd have a screen with all the people on Zoom, and we'd be shouting at people, raving in them. We had more listeners than Notting Hill.
Wow.
More views than Notting Hill.
Genius.
And then we spoke to, we got YouTube to sponsor us with Google.
How many views did it pull in?
God, millions.
Wow.
And then we had Duffy Rum, Duffy Shares, we had them, so we had a little mini bar. The police came because they were monitoring the stream thinking there was thousands, like obviously you couldn't have more than like 20 people in a space of a certain area. So they walked in and they've looked, it's quite...
Where was you? In a club or something?
It's like an open air section.
Right.
So we was outside, but it was but there was like gates and stuff. So we had, and then we had on the stream someone doing our skins around the stream. So it just looked so polished because of that training at the BBC. It had set a really high standard of how we wanted to deliver things. And I'm like, well, if that corporate company, I'm not going to let people look at Rampage that we are a corporate, we're a company, and we're a business. We will be that polished. We will deliver to that high level. And it's kind of helped us along the way.
Incredible.
So
I'm really blown away by this cab chat, Mike. I mean, you are an inspiration.
I mean, there's been some, like, I remember I was really upset with 1Extra one year because they were doing 1Extra live and they left us off it. We're the highest listenership. So I remember we had a marketing meeting and I'm sitting in the meeting and I can't remember who it was, said, Mike Anthony's silence speaks volumes. and me and Treble T are in the meeting and we're not saying a word. You've left us, we're talking about, like, I don't think it was the one with Chris Brown and all that. All these big artists, you've left us off. You would have left Chris Moyes off Radio 1's Big Weekend. You've left Rampage off 1Extra Live. So we're like, all right, cool. We're going to do our own little thing. So we decided to do the DJ relay and break the world record. So Colin would mix, then I would mix next song, then you would mix next song. So we literally broke the world record and we did it over in Brick Lane. And then the figures came back from 1Extra Live and from us. And they'd spent 100 grand and had 53,000 unique live views and listen back again. and we had 48,000 views, unique views, and listen back. So we had matched them, but we spent 10 grand and they'd spent over 100 grand, and we had delivered virtually identical figures. But the difference was the power of the DJs. So Colin would send, I'm doing the Breaking the World record. This DJ would send out, Psycho would send out, every DJ on the relay
Would send out.
So you had this bringing together of the entire DJ fraternity. And then they were like, well, how are we going to do this? I said, right, set up one DJ box here, starts the live mix, and then they go and do it again. So if someone fails the mix there, we've doubled the mix.
Right.
So they carry on. So he's messed up the mix. Okay, so now it's on you. So we had 2 mixes of the same music going at the same time, but there's a slight delay.
Wow.
So, so again, with the BBC restrictions, because obviously this is license fees money, so you learn to navigate with sometimes your arm tied behind your back, and that's what makes us think outside the box.
Exactly.
Just in terms of how do we work with corporate companies, what kind of sponsorship do we want, how does it translate to our audience? Because a lot of people will complain, oh, the corporate businesses have got involved. Well, that's how it grows. But it's how you hold yourself accountable, how you deliver yourself, and do you have a product that they want? And then do you control the narrative, or do you let them control the narrative? I've turned down sponsors because I can, because someone else will do what you don't want to do. It's as simple as that. The only time, again, we would have to say to the police, we've had to turn down artists performing at Carnival. We've had to, we couldn't let Mary J, Nas, DMX, 50 Cent. These are people that were coming to perform.
Is that the main reason, because they're too huge?
Yeah, because the police think
it'll bring way too many numbers into that.
Because the police think
they won't be able to.
Yeah, and we're like, but we don't announce it. Yeah, but we've heard through the grapevine. Through the grapevine, but no one knows until they turn up to Carnival. They don't know who's on our stage.
Oh, I see.
So
but the thing is, word can get around within a split second. Bang! Someone's sent out a tweet or an Instagram message, and they know exactly who's playing.
But the problem is trying to get to us, because people come in, and I see people turn up when we've turned off. Oh, we're looking for you for hours. Oh well. So the police have this. We have this ongoing joke. About 10 years ago, the top 3 questions the police were asked was: number 1, where's the nearest tube station? Number 2, where's the toilets? Number 3, where's Rampage? This year it's round the other way. Number 1, where's Rampage? Number 2, where's the tube station? Number 3, where's the toilets? So we've gone from near the toilets to the top. So it's not bad.
Wow, that's amazing, Mike.
One Extra has been great. One Extra's been, and it still is. We're still on there now. It's phenomenal.
Are you still on One Extra?
Yeah. So Treble T and Maurice, because
how do you tune into it? Because I've never tuned into because I usually listen to like loads of mixes and things like that. What is it, just on a DAB?
You can do DAB online on BBC iPlayer. You can get One Extra. Yeah. I listen to One Extra in the US, so
you can listen to it anywhere.
Yeah.
A big shout out to One Extra. And who have you got DJing on there?
So Maurice, DJ Flyman, and Treble T. So
yeah, big up to them.
Yeah. So when I come in, obviously I won't do this weekend because we'll be in the middle of Carnival. But the beautiful thing is One Extra still, they're going to be putting out some of Carnival on One Extra with us.
That's what I was going to say to you as well, actually. Yeah, do you record some of the Carnival set?
Yeah, so we've had media partners before. So we've had Amazon stream with us before. So we've had One Extra stream as well. So we do record, and sometimes we put it out as not as live, but it'll be Rampage at Carnival. So the good thing about it is that they still believe in us and what we do, and they get behind. The budgets aren't like they used to be, but we've learned again to navigate because we want to support our station. It's where we launched that station. So sometimes, like you said, it's not about the money. It's just the right thing to do.
It just feels right.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer. Look, why stitch someone up or do someone a dirty to make £1,000 when we can work and make £100 every week for the next 10 years. That's more valuable than trying to do the big lick
100%.
and losing it.
100%.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt. And kind of what you're up to nowadays, Mike? You got, I mean, you must have so much going on. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, like, we could be here for an hour talking about what you're up to. But at the moment, you're living in Florida. Yeah. Have you got any plans to move back to London?
Right, so I'm bouncing between the two. So not many people know that my other passion. I have 3 passions in life: music, food, and football.
Who do you support?
West Ham. So in America, I'm a director, one of the directors at a football club over there, with young players and stuff. I've actually brought some players to here. One's on trial now with Queen's Park Rangers, and I watched him last time I was here. He played against Man United's U18s and stuff. Big up Skylar. Schneider, who was playing for Inter Miami, was one of the players I coached from when he was 15 years old. He was playing with Messi and Suarez and stuff. He's now playing in Europe. I wanted to be a football player when I was younger, and I remember watching my brother play at Fulham in the All England final. He played for Holland Park and they won it, and I was like, those moments, those music moments, those footballing moments. So I got into coaching because I'd obviously did the music thing, so I got into coaching in my early 30s, and I actually done it, would you believe, by accident. I was on One Extra, and I kept asking Ray, why do you keep moving me around these slots? Drive time, breakfast. Because you play all genres of music. Okay, I get it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to cut out my own niche in this market. I want to be my own iconic status. I don't know how I would do it. I love video games. So we were the first to review video games on radio. So, remember I told you that due diligence story? Don't approach Ray with an idea without doing your due diligence. So I've gone to him like, I'll do video games. He's looking at me because, well, videos they're visual. So on BBC Sport, when they have Chelsea versus Fulham, the commentator he paints the picture when he's describing the football match. Why can't I deliver the same way? So he's looked at me and goes,
See where you're coming from. Yeah.
But then we realised Chris Brown plays video games. Pharrell plays video games. LL Cool J plays video games. And we're going to games launches in IMAX cinemas, and we're playing against Pharrell in wherever, LL Cool J's in New York, and we're playing Call of Duty on a 5,000 meter screen in an IMAX cinema.
Wow. So
we've now got artists coming in, Rio Ferdinand, Robin Williams, the comedian with Happy Feet, God rest his soul, one of my favourite interviews of all time, talking about video games. So they're coming in like, well, we've been talking about Happy Feet for the last 12 hours with different people. And you've come with a fresh angle about the video games, or voicing the video games and playing the video. And then Robin Williams is, I'm an avid gamer.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so he's talking about Elijah, whoever, he's a video game. So they're now swapping gamer tags and all kinds of stuff. So we're getting all the famous people in reviewing video games. Neo, all these people are doing video games.
Wow.
All of a sudden, it's blown, because now the video games industry is blown through the roof. Then Radio 1 take it, and they got someone else to present a week of gaming on Radio 1, and we got kind of sidelined, which is cool at the time, because you want to grow it, you want to take it a different direction. You get someone else. Yeah. No, but no situation. You can kick up, but I don't own the BBC. That's your station. You can't tell me what to do with Rampage. So I ain't telling you what to do with the BBC. I ain't telling you what to do with Kiss. I ain't telling you what to do with this person or that person or Capital Extra. I ain't telling you what to do, but you can't tell me what to do with Rampage. I'll tell you what I'm doing with my business. So if that's what you want to do, but what we did, we established something of our own, and with the gaming, bang, we were the first.
Wow.
That made us our own Spoonie, or our own, but it was with video games. Now, one of the games was EA Sports FIFA. So as a joke, EA Sports said, do you want to do your FIFA license? So I'm looking at Ray, because Ray's a gooner. He loves it. And
Oh, your FIFA licensed football trainer?
Yeah, as part of the game. So I said, Ray, come, let's do this thing. So he goes, all right, let's do it. So we've done our FA level 1. And then he's like, let's do our FA level 2. We've done our FA level 2. And when the FIFA game came out, it actually had me and Treble T, me in a West Ham kit. And they edited our face on and they put Tino Liverpool kit. We're in a cover. We got our own cover of it. And so we've done our level 2. Then I did my UEFA B. And that's how I got more. And then when I was doing my UEFA B, they said, find a women's team, because you get your coaching out more with women. But women's football was growing at the time. So Ray found West Ham ladies were looking for a coach. So imagine getting to coach at the team you support. So I was there when Avram Grant got us relegated. God. Carlton Cole was there. So I met all the Benny McCarthy, Julian Faubert, Steve Lomas was there. I did my SAQ license with him. So I was able to coach at West Ham. And we won the U19's FA Cup with the ladies at West Ham.
Wow.
So then I took that on another career path. And
so you was a coach for West Ham? Go.
Yeah, for the younger team, yeah. So I won an FA Cup. Then I started coaching women's in America. And I was actually part of a club called Sunrise that was number 1 and number 2 in the entire United States for youth football. This is a club that only had 350 players. And they were number 1 and number 2 in the entire country for 6 years with their teams. So I got to my experience of working with women's and winning the FA Cup. I went there and I've been coaching. I'm a director of one of the clubs over Parkland. But then obviously when the season's out, I'm here for the whole summer. So all the festivals and Carnival.
Yeah, so you got the best. You got
the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
So when the weather gets cold, like October, November, like, oh, I'm on the beach, mate.
Yeah, so I'll see you later.
Come back for Christmas, New Year's, and then nothing happens in January. I'm back on the plane. I'm back out in this Florida.
Back in the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got the best of both worlds now. That's amazing.
So that's what I'm doing with myself. The football.
Hold on, but
you
you said your other passion was food.
Yes.
So quickly tell me about that. What, like chefing or?
Right, so my uncle in Switzerland, back to my old uncle, had a restaurant as well. It was called Muscasnot, which is nutmeg, Caribbean, because I'm half Grenadian and obviously half Guyanese, and I love food. And I remember when I was shipped off to Switzerland as a kid for being naughty, I missed my mum's stewed chicken and pumpkin soup. And I remember I was on the phone and she talked me through how to cook it. So I'm like, literally at 16, I'm learning to cook traditional food. So when my daughter was born, I wanted to introduce her, because I actually feel that a lot of kids here, they'll go to a shop, they don't learn culturally the things that you need to learn, where you're from. And I did a lot of research on this, because a young person now of colour or of heritage will go to Ibiza because it's £100 for a plane ticket and spend £500 on a hotel and food, and we're in Ibiza, but won't spend 1,500 or £2,000 to go back to Jamaica or go to Grenada or go to Dominica or go to Antigua. So there's that missing gap. So when people say, boy, about Carnival, there's those who are culturally disconnected. And then you've got those who don't know how to cook their traditional food. I know how to cook Grenadian dishes and Guyanese dishes, from pepper pot to you name it. I know how to do these things. And I've made sure my daughter learns that it's important, otherwise it gets lost. Of course I eat fish and chips. Of course that's Sunday roast. Are you mad? Of course that's me, bruv. St. Kidney pie, come on man, pie and mash, that's me.
You like the pie and mash?
But I love my pepper pot. I love my roti. I love my dal puri. I love them things.
Do you know what? I think that's what makes London such a great place as well, actually, is because nowadays we've got all different styles of cultures, religions, different restaurants, different places where you can eat different foods, and we really embrace everybody's culture. You know,
absolutely. And that's why I get upset with people that say Carnival needs to be about Carnival. But listen, you tell Damien, when Damien Marley comes in, he gets his fish and chips. My man's live, you know. my dad was a vegetarian. When he come back from America, he'd get his fish and chips. That's what we grow. That's what we grow. Eating it out of a newspaper. Fish and chips. And my thing is, going to Switzerland and being in my uncle's restaurant, I love to cook. I like to go out and eat. And how did he make that? And I'll go on YouTube and work out the ingredients. And I love to cook. I love it. And then seeing what's healthy, what's unhealthy. Living in America, you could die because of the crap they put in the food over there. So I go to a farm and buy my meat and buy my eggs.
Organic.
Organic. And I go and do my thing. I don't go to some of their brands, their big supermarkets and buy that injected food. I don't do that stuff. So it's made me a lot more food, health conscious. When I was in America, I put on about 4 stones. Borderline diabetic. I had to cut that stuff. I nearly died. I said, nah. My sugar levels are normal, blood pressure normal. I lost 4 stones. I'm down to my fighting. Like, I'm not going down that road again. But it's about reflection and self-education. When I did football, I went to do my UEFA B, and then I want to do my UEFA because I want to. When I'm DJing, I don't want to play. I don't want to go and stand next to Colin who's playing hip hop. What? And I can't represent hip hop as well. I remember when we had Rodigan come to SW1. I said, guys, make sure when you play your dance hall, make sure you can stand next to Rodigan, you know. If you're playing, if you've got a hip hop DJ out there, if you're 279, make sure, or Shorty Blitz, make sure you can stand next to them man, you know. Don't play hip hop unless you can stand next to them man. I'm not saying be better than them man, but you can stand next to them and hold your own. And that's what I've made sure with everything that I've done. So when I can go and coach, I can walk into Queen's Park Rangers. I can call Andy Impey, I can call Carlton Cole and walk into where I can stand with them and talk to them, and we talk, football. Because I know football. I could talk. My daughter done an advert with Gordon Ramsay. I want to be able to go in there and see what I want. I've worked in a restaurant as a kid. Richie P worked in a restaurant Richie P's an amazing cook. Bad boy cook.
What's he cook up?
Man, anything. Anything. My man made me a cheesecake once. I was drunk on the cheesecake. I bought it home for my mum, and I went to the fridge to look for the cheesecake. I said, Mum, did you throw out the container? She goes, no, I ate it. I said, wait, there was enough cheesecake. She goes, it was very nice. I said, are you right? You intoxicated it. I said, he's put some proper rum in that cheesecake.
Rum.
So and those 3 things are forever changing. And they're 3 very passionate things: music, food, and football.
Do you know what? You would absolutely make. No, I'm not talking food. You would make you would be an absolute epic London cab driver, because you've got the gift of the gab. You can talk for it's fantastic.
I mean, there's some deep story. I mean, we've been approached by about 3 or 4 companies now to do a Rampage documentary. So there's something that possibly we might pen. Richie has he has his diary, his filofax, with all the dates of when we did gigs, and I'm flicking through his files. Oh my God, I forgot about that. There's a chronological order of how it all went, and he's got a very detailed diary of it, and our memories. Our experiences.
Is there a lot of photographs?
Yeah, we've got photos along the way. That journey with famous people, without famous people, of us. Like I said, from the house parties, from me first meeting Richie, from Psycho when he passed away, how that impacted Rampage. It impacted me severely, because I found Psycho at 17 in a club in Westbourne Park. And we went there. Dee brought me over there, and we turned up. And we went up in, I think it's called Woody's. Was a club. We went to the top floor of Woody's, and there was this geezer with these thick National Health glasses with sellotape on the corner, in these MC Hammer trousers, and he was skinny as a rake, and he was bouncing around in the DJ box, and he was mixing like. The last time I ever went to a rave and heard a DJ mix like that inspired me was Richie. And then Jazzy Jeff. When Jazzy Jeff came to the West End with the DMCs, with Will Smith. And I'm like, I saw this young guy playing, and I'm like, who is he? I want him in Rampage. So those 3 DJs, me, Richie, and Psycho. When he passed away, it was like losing your little brother. It was like, wow, like it's experiencing death up close that you don't want to, but it's one of those constants in life you can never get away from. And he was a genius, unbelievable DJ.
And also, what a name! I mean, how did he get it? I love that, Psycho. I mean, wow. You know,
Dr. Psycho.
Dr. Psycho.
And then he did a thing called a surgery, and he had the stethoscope
How
around
did he
it.
get his name? Any idea? Or
I actually don't know.
Sure.
But you know what it is? I think, and I did speak to him about other things, not about the name, but if I put 2 and 2 together, I think I would have got the analogy quite close. And I think he was always kind of bullied because of his look and his thick glasses and his quirky persona and his lisp, and he was always put down, his baggy trousers, and I think it was he put this image and made Dr. Psycho. I mean, we'd done the Monkeys song, the Jungle song. That was because of him. We were in the club, and he brought out an album of TV theme songs, and he's mixed Helicopter, Here We Come, walking down, and we're like, what are you doing?
genius.
Yeah.
And he's turned the club upside down. I'm like, what? And then he do Little House on the Prairie or something. What's he doing?
Where can you get that from? Can you hear that? I'd love to hear that.
I don't know if we've got a recording of it, but
Oh man, I would love to have heard that.
but the song we actually ended up making, and it actually ended up in the charts, and we got ridiculed by the Jungle fraternity because it was a very poppy, geeky kind of thing, but it was just one of those things that he would do. And I remember he would. People actually said that he was one of the first people that kind of inspired the whole grime thing, because he would cross genre mix as well, and he did it on Commander B's show. People were listening and said, he's mixing that beat with that MC kind of thing, and I tell you why it's kind of weird. I remember going to Ayia Napa, and we launched our own club night in Ayia Napa, and this is at the height of garage. So we're standing there looking at the superstars, you know, Norris the Boss and Spoonie and people and thousands of people. We got the only R&B club, and we're told Aurora from Fresh and Funky's brought us out there, and we've done it, and we've torn it. They said don't play dancehall. We've played dancehall, of course, and ripped it up. And the following year we got our residency, and I remember Miss Dynamite's outside, and I'm like, are you not coming in? She goes, I'm too young, I can't get in. But your song's being played inside the club, and you're ripping up. And that was the turn of the MC. I remember Psycho before then was mixing rap over gap. The way he was doing it was it was like that kind of birth of, and one of those DJs that was experimenting. I remember Wiley said he was listening to him on like, what is that? You know, there's a lot of things that Psycho did that he's just not credited for, that he was a fantastic DJ. Unbelievable. So to lose him, it was tough. Really, really tough.
Yeah,
But
big
we honour him by carrying on.
yeah, big RIP to Dr. Psycho.
Yeah.
Absolutely light years ahead.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He was.
Light years ahead.
And again, you know, you have the likes of Swing, Psycho, and you have these I call them generals. The industry wouldn't be what it is without these kind of people.
There's certain lights. There's not many of them, but there's certain lights out there where, you know, they really do stand out.
Absolutely.
And pave the way. And Dr. Psycho was one of them,
Absolutely, 100%.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'd like to end it on this note, actually, Mike, which
Yeah.
is quite an important thing to me, because I'm into positivity, unity, and pushing people forwards.
Yeah.
And I can tell, you know, you're well respected, and you talk a hell of a lot of sense, you know. And I think
I try.
I think you're into positivity and all that as well, which you are. Is there like a message that you could send out there to the to the younger generation? Because there's a lot of madness going on around at the moment, a lot of negativity, a lot of division. Is there like anything that you could send to the younger generation to kind of rebuild and unify?
Yeah, it's I want to clarify one thing. It's not a black or a white thing, because people get this conception: oh, black and this and it wouldn't happen over here. Youth is youth, and it's whether it's your European, African, West Indian, French, German. It doesn't matter. Youth is youth, and youth gets inspired by different things. And I think people will turn around and blame parenting, and they'll blame this and they'll blame that. And the one thing I would turn around and say, we can help young people by introducing them into, I call it the old world, the old school things that I give thanks that my mum took me to Grenada as a kid. I give thanks that I was with my uncle as a 16-year-old traveling, because I could have gone down the wrong path, where I was able to see. It wasn't on TV. I could touch my uncle and his car, and when he passed away, I was given one of his bass guitars. I have my dad's bass and I have my uncle's bass. My uncle's bass was that lead guitar. That guitar was given to him by Jimi Hendrix, so I've got that guitar.
Wow! What if that was Jimi Hendrix?
Yeah, it was given to him as a gift in the 70s. I'm
friends with Jimi Hendrix's daughter, by the way, Maisha.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm friends with Maisha, yeah.
So I actually took the guitar. The crazy story, that guitar, my aunt, my uncle's wife, has his recent guitar, which is a modern one. It's a very thin one, which was his one he was using. And she goes, and she said, oh, he's got another bass somewhere, or lead guitar, and I think he took it to Grenada, and it was given to him by Jimi Hendrix. I'm like, what? Wait a minute. There's another guitar, another bass. Where? We've hunted all over Grenada, and it was in my cousin. My cousin was on a ship somewhere doing a cruise, and I've actually managed to find him. And he goes, oh, it's in the garage. So I've flown into Grenada, and in this old case, and I've opened it, and it's in there.
Wow.
And I took it back to the States, and I gave it, and I told the guy, this used to be Jimi Hendrix. Is there any way of knowing? And he's taken it apart to clean it, and there's a serial code on the back, and he goes, this is of that period. This is like this make. This one is from 1968 to 71, and it was given to him when Jimi Hendrix went to Europe, and it was given to him as a gift. And my uncle just had it there, so I have that. So there are these moments where these are humbling moments, and I think as an older generation, we get too caught up in what we're doing, and we take our eyes off the prize. And our prize is not what we're doing; it's what we leave behind. That's our prize. But people say to me, Mike, you're not rich or wealthy. No, I'm not. But Bob Marley said it. Rich in what? Rich in love. My family. That's my wealth, my health, my strength. I'm proud of what my daughter does. I'm proud of my family members of what they do. I'm proud of, I have, family working with me at Carnival in terms of getting tech and sponsorship and so on and so forth. For Hold Tight Rory, Ian, who got me down this road by taking me to. So I value that more than money, because that is the culture. And I could focus on me, make me rich. I've realised when you can have all the money, when you're dead, you're dead. And my aunt told me, she said, it's better to give with a warm hand than a cold heart. I'll never forget that. I want to give this away now. Now. I don't want to die and leave a will so she can appreciate me when I'm dead. Take it now. Take it. Let me see you enjoy yourself now. Let me see you grow now. And I think a lot of us,
and life is so precious.
Exactly. And we take our eyes off that.
Yeah.
And while they're doing stupidness on the road and you find every excuse to allow that to happen, don't allow it to happen. Because all you're doing, you're killing your culture, you're killing your family, you're killing everything about the next generation. And then they just get blamed. Well, what did we do? Yes, if the government takes money out and there's no more youth centres, instead of buying 100 pairs of trainers at £300 each, open up a youth centre. Instead of going to the corporate sponsors and saying, I'm just launching a school to teach kids how to DJ, blog, vlog, podcast, produce radio shows at Brixton House. My uncle's recording studio from Switzerland, when he passed away, my aunt gave to me. I'm using that equipment to teach kids. I could quite easily keep it for myself and do whatever I'm going to do. But it's probably what he would want to do. And help young people. And if we then create the next Rampage or the next Colin or the next Trevor Nelson or the next Spoonie, then we haven't done half a bad job. Because we've possibly saved someone from doing some stupidness. And I have a couple of kids that we used to do some workshops with. They still come to Carnival. Remember me? And that's a kid that was going down a bad road. And he's now married with kids.
And the thing is, that kid will remember you forever for what you've done for him.
And that's why I do football, because football as a coach, you learn to spot who's being bullied. There are kids who are doing drugs at a young age.
So it's not necessarily all about the football, but it's also about that person and taking them off the street and getting them into something that's going to like take them away from the madness.
What I don't like are DJs who feel that keeping it, what they've done to themselves, that secret, it's unlocking the... Share it. Give the knowledge. I'm not scared of nobody. Exactly. I'm not scared of nobody. I'm not scared. And if you're hot coming through, you're just going to make me work harder. If you're big coming through, you're just going to make me work harder. Because I remember Stormzy being on Rampage before he became Stormzy. Like, as Stormzy, but not as big as Stormzy is now. I look at that with pride. When Bashi came on our stage and said, I used to be down there as a youth, looking up at this stage, wondering, one day I want to be on that stage. And he's on my stage performing. Look at Bashi. We look at those men not with like envy, with pride. That's us. And the one thing I strive for, and the only thing I would want, and if people always ask, what do you want? And I'll leave the interview with this. What kind of legacy do you leave behind? And that's all it is. But I'm driving around looking at statues of Winston Churchill. I'm standing around looking at statues of Haig and looking at Nelson at the top of the column. What's your legacy? What do you leave behind? And your statue doesn't have to be a physical statue, but what do you leave behind? That's the legacy.
100. Yeah. Absolutely blown away, Mike. Absolutely blown away.
Thank you.
This is absolutely inspirational listening to you talk. I mean, it really has touched a lot of, not just me and Colin, but I'm sure a lot of people that are watching this, it's touched them too, because it just shows what kind of person you are. You know, you're an absolute 100% diamond, and it's a blessing and an honour.
Thank you.
To have you in this cab. Listen, to even be talking to you, you know, I'm blown away, literally blown away.
And I just want to say something as well. If I had a big bunch, no, seriously, if I had a big bunch of flowers, metaphorically, these are to Michael, because I know that beneath all of that stuff, the ending bit, this is what he's always stood for. When I first knew him, he was always encompassing. People say that about me, but I know that I got it from him. No, I did. He doesn't even know that. So I know.
Your interview blew me away. I was just my mouth just dropped like, OMG.
Yeah, but what I'm saying though is that on a worldwide level, I mean, there's going to be people like Dr. Dre, Snoop, that can watch this and go, oh my God, he's humble. He's not really
100%.
You know what I'm saying? But, so.
I'm not being funny. If I could set up a thing like, I know for a fact, I would be handing you now a trophy or a medal or whatever it is, just as recognition about what you've done, because you have you are one of the ones that have paved the way.
Absolutely.
And we still tried to do, like I said, we did Barbican with the orchestra.
That's the reason, yeah.
Yeah, and the Barbican said in their 40-year history, it's the greatest show they've ever done. And Kanye King was in the audience for Mobo, and we've never won a Mobo. And I remember someone wrote, Jasmine, give Rampage their flowers. So it's amazing that you said that.
That's right.
Well, I've had a few people in my cab that need their flowers. Do you know what I mean? And hopefully, someone within them, you know, them kind of award things can watch some of my interviews. But Mike, listen, all I can say is an absolute blessing having you in the cab, and you as well, Colin. And Colin, two-way, I would like to thank you for bringing Michael in the cab. Once again, I'm absolutely blown away. And how can people...
I'm blown away as well.
And Michael, how can people follow you as well? I mean, have you got like Instagrams and all that?
Everything on Instagram and is at Rampage Sound, or my own personal is DJ MA Rampage on Instagram. So DJ MA Rampage, you can follow me.
I didn't realise the depth of your knowledge and your history, which
I did try to tell you.
You did try and tell me.
I did tell him.
And I thought Colin was going to be, you know, saying a lot more. But me and Colin have been sitting here like a couple of sponges, like soaking it all in.
Everybody's journey is unique. Like I said, I was blown away by his interview. I was like, just wow. Like,
I know,
there were so many things that he said that I'm like, how did he remember that?
I know. So anyone watching this, I'm going to leave the link to Colin's interview in the description as well. So make sure you check out Colin's interview. But listen, as I say, an absolute blessing to have you both in the cab. And we're going to run you down now to Brixton, because I know you've got like a little meeting going on down now. You are a busy man, Mike, isn't it?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. I said about culture and stuff. I remember before I left to the States, I had on the moped, and I went to every house that I ever lived in. The house I was born in, the house when my family, they bought a house in Shepherd's Bush, and all the family was coming over from Guyana and stuff and put us all in the house on different floors, to Rectory, where I used to do my homework in Clapham South, to Lavender Hill, when I used to go to Shaftesbury Park School, to Broadwater, to Garden Avenue, 17 Garden running around the corner from the Selkirk.
Wow.
Then up to, so I actually did a kind of tour just to remember where I'm from.
Grounding.
And
totally.
It was really weird. There's a picture
Taking
of
it back to the grassroots.
Yeah, there's a picture of my dad sitting on this table outside a blue door, and the door's still blue. It's insane in Rectory Gardens.
Wow.
This is insane. And a guy, I remember standing there, this guy walked up and he goes, I said, my dad used to be, and he goes, is your dad Don? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, I still live here. He goes, because they used to squat. So in my dad's studio, it was like a bunch of squatters. There was no rules there. And they used to take the electricity from the lampposts, and my dad would wire everybody so they had electricity. I'm a bit like my dad, who was, for me, just the wisest man. It was my best friend. Like, I could ring him at any time and we would just talk. And he never, ever judged me. And he gave me some really good, because if you ever make a decision in life, sometimes you need to be a man, sit down in a room by yourself, think it through, and make the decision so that you don't blame others for your mistakes. And those are the things that there's certain, like I said, there's certain elements of your life that you go through. Everybody has those moments where you remember certain things in life that are life-changing things that help you guide you on a path.
Well, I know one thing. This conversation with you is going to be etched into my mind. You know, I'm once again pretty blown away, Mike, by having you in the cab. It's been, I'm sure, like Colin would say as well, it's pretty special, isn't it, Colin?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
there's some things that I'm gonna take from this, actually.
And listen, I take my hat off to you. I salute you for everything you've done.
And that's just part one of the interview.
Yeah. We're going in for a part 2 in a few months. But anyway, let's get you down to Brixton, Mike. And anyone watching this, please follow Mike as well on his Instagram, follow Rampage. And also check out my interviews with like Public Enemy, Man Parish, Nucleus, Ultramagnetic MCs, Gordon.
Wow.
Mac, I mean, Colin TNT, Dolby D. There's so many I've interviewed as well. Probably over like 100 odd interviews. Is that what's a fair, isn't it? Sorry, my man. I'm working. Sorry, mate, I'm working. Go up there on the corner. Go on the corner, you get a cab there.
You'll get another cab.
Yeah. Just good luck, mate.
That was brilliant. You got to leave that in.
I just turned down the Heathrow job then. But no, it's an absolute wicked interview. And anyone watching it as well, please share this around the socials. And once again, it's been an absolute blessing having you both in the cab.
Yeah, check out Rampage on 1Extra. You know, on the weekends, Triple T, Fly Mo, Maurice. You know, Reggae Land, City Splash, Carnival. We're all over the place. It's the boys are repping hard. They're working hard. This year, look out, Rampage. We're in Red Bull. At Carnival with Boohoo and with Puma. Got a massive lineup, DJs and artists and stuff. You know how the thing runs.
So yeah, big up to everyone at Rampage.
Blah!
Yes, we done it. Well done. Hats off to you.